The TMJ-TMD conundrum is real and has been puzzling the dental and medical professions for decades. This is the TMJ-TMD Demystified podcast with Dr. Tony Urbanek, where we'll connect the dots between TMD symptoms and the actual cause. We'll tackle common TMD misconceptions and educate you, the practitioner, about a simple, tested, and proven TMD solution that has already provided relief to thousands of patients, while helping practitioners build an additional source of income free from insurance control. Welcome to this episode of the TMJ-TMD Demystified podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tony Urbanek, and with us today is Naomi Engelman. And the topic for our podcast installment today is marketing to both doctors and patients. And how do you get the word out? How do you make the public and other doctors know that there's a solution to TMD? An easy solution, a non-surgical solution. Prior episodes, I covered skepticism. That's the first thing that always comes to my mind when I talk about our device. But I've covered that thoroughly. So let's, for sake of discussion, just admit there's a lot of skepticism out there, and that you want to make patients and doctors aware there is a solution. Now, we're going to break this presentation into actually two parts. I'm going to cover the majority or the primary method that we use here in my practice and that we worked out as to how to make referral sources aware that there is a solution to TMD, and educate those referral sources as how to distinguish and properly diagnose it, which is what I covered in the last podcast. The last episode, we covered thoroughly misdiagnosis and the proper way to diagnose. So the marketing is something that I had no knowledge of as an oral maxillofacial surgeon until I got deeply into what we discovered. And I had spent quite a bit of time and a significant amount of funds hiring marketing people, trying to tell me how to best make patients and doctors aware that we have this solution. That was a waste of time and money. So I sat down, again, you may have heard me say that I believe there's always a solution to a problem, always. If you don't have the solution, you're asking the wrong people or you're asking the wrong question. So I knew I was asking the wrong people when I hired marketing people. So I sat down and I discovered, on reviewing all aspects of this very quickly, that if you have a practice, which I do, and you want to make doctors aware that you have the solution to TMD, or you make patients aware, the proper public that you want to market to is not the patients, but the doctors. So we worked out a very simple program, a very inexpensive program to market to the doctors. And here's how it works. The protocol we use for treating temporomandibular joint problems is very simple. After we make the diagnosis, take the impressions, manufacture the device, we deliver the device. After delivery, we see the patient 3 weeks after delivery, and then 6 weeks after that, which is a total of 2 months. Usually by then, 70 to 80 to 90% of their symptoms are diminished, at which point we follow them a little beyond that and put them from full-time. We start 24/7 and then go into nighttime only after 2 months. That's the protocol. Every time the patient comes back for one of those appointments, whether it be at 3 weeks, at 9 weeks, at 4 months, at 6 months, at 6 months, it's over with. You're not going to get them back after 6 months. They're fixed. It's hard to get them back after 4 months. They're fixed. They don't want to come back. They're not going to come back. Thank you very much, but I'm fixed. That's great. But the point is that at every time you see the patient, a letter is generated by my staff with templates through the computer that specifies what that patient contact consisted of and what percentage of the symptoms were diminished. So at 3 weeks, a letter is generated for that patient, which is sent to every doctor that that patient has, number one, seen for those symptoms, and that could be a list of between 1 and 20. I've had as many as one patient came in with 20 doctor names. Um, and every time the patient comes back subsequently, an additional letter is created via computer that specifies what the symptoms were this patient had and what percentage of their symptoms are gone. And those letters at each patient contact are sent to those doctors. And that list may also include doctors who don't treat them for those symptoms, but doctors that they routinely see, like their regular dentist or their PCP, or even a walk-in clinic that they use, or a chiropractor that they use. And those letters are sent routinely every time the patient comes back for an appointment, for a check, to find out what percentage of those symptoms are diminished or gone. That's the question. Not how better they are, not how much better they are, how much on a percentage basis of their symptoms are diminished or gone. That's the question that's asked, and that is the point that is put in each one of these letters. And so I have this week's beginning, today's Tuesday, we already have probably about a dozen letters here. Usually I sign at the end of every week, either Friday or Monday, I sit down at my desk and I sign between 50, 45, and 70 of these letters. I put Tony, Tony, Tony here at the bottom. And those letters go out to 50 to 70 referral sources: dentists, physicians, PCPs, walk-in clinic, chiropractors, which specify the symptoms that the patient has had and the percentage of symptoms that are now gone or diminished. Now, I'm going to take a minute. I just pulled these off of my assistant's desk as I started this. I'm going to read one of these just to give you an idea what the letter's all about. It says, this is to Dr. Emily. I won't give your last name, but Dr. Emily here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It says, "Dear Emily, we want to update you on your patient." I'll leave the patient's name blank here. "We have been treating her temporomandibular joint TMJ pain, which included headaches, earaches, neck pain, shoulder, arm pain, vertigo, tingling, and numbness of her hands and fingers, locking of the jaw," she had it all going on, "ringing and fullness of the ears. I am pleased to report that it has been 3 months since we began treatment with my interocclusal disoccluding device, patent number, blah, 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 and we have reduced this patient's, by name, TMJ pain 90% by her subjective assessment." So this patient, how many weeks did I say it's been treating it? So I don't know how many weeks has it been, but 90% of her symptoms are gone. I pulled this out this morning and I read this success story. I have to read this success story to you. Excuse me, but when the patient gets to 85% to 100% of their symptoms are diminished, whether it's 3 weeks or 9 weeks or 4 months or whenever it is, we ask them to write a success story and we take a little picture with them, basically a story saying, what happened to you here? I don't want you bragging on me, just, what happened to you when you came in? And this one is just so typical, but so telling. So this is the patient. We take a little picture with me and the patient, and we write a letter. And this letter then goes out to all the doctors on that list, anywhere between 1 and 20. In this particular patient, who actually I took this picture yesterday with this patient, and here's a success story. I was a little skeptical. Remember, we talked a lot about skepticism. I was a little skeptical when my dentist initially referred me here because nothing I tried before had worked to alleviate my pain. Still, I went to all my appointments following his instructions precisely, and I'm thrilled that I did. My jaw joint pain has diminished 90% since first coming to see Dr. Urbanek and using his device. I have suffered with jaw joint pain, piercing headaches, earaches, shoulder and neck pain, and a host of other symptoms I didn't even know were related to JJP. Remember, we call it around here jaw joint problems, not TMJ. And now patients pick up on that. Now she's calling it JJP. For the majority of my adult life, I have used night guards and medication and other remedies, but nothing compares to Dr. Urbanek's device and for significantly improving, or in many cases, eliminating my jaw joint pain and its symptoms. I usually don't ever give reviews on anything, but if my story and experience will help someone suffering with JJP discover Dr. Urbanek and his device quicker, then I'm happy to do it. That is what we are all about. We have to get this message out. And unfortunately, I had to name it Dr. Urbanek's device because I couldn't figure out what else to call it. I wouldn't call it what my patients wanted to call it, the miracle device, et cetera. I couldn't do it. Also, their customer service is above par. And my staff make me look good. If it wasn't for my staff, I wouldn't look good, but they actually make me really look good. And I love that comment more than anything else. That comment is most important to me. So I had to read that because that one just came in today as I pulled this up from Amy's desk. And so that is the system. That is the system we use. I can't explain it any better. I can't be more poignant. I can't be more direct. I can't be more encouraging. We solved the problem. I want to bring this other thing to your attention. So we track everything. I mean, unfortunately, I have a business now that teaches other doctors how to do this. Never thought I'd be in this position being a CEO of a company, but now I have to take that hat and I got to learn how to do it. So part of that is to get reports on everything we do. We track everything we do. And this set of reports, based on this marketing program, comes to me once a month from one of my staff members. And this report basically is a listing of every patient that is referred in from those doctors via this system. And I'm going to go through this report. It gives me the name of every patient that was referred in and what happened to them. Did they get the device? Did they treat them a plan but not get the device? So it gives me the number of patients each month, the number of devices, impressions made or delivered. But more importantly, the new providers. We have now over 600 providers in Middle Tennessee who send us TMD patients. That's our list. It's beyond that. It was 600 a year ago, so I don't know what it is now, but I can tell you this. These are the last 6 months of my reports. And they list all the green marks are new doctors. Let me see if I can get you to see that nicely. The green marks are the names of new providers, physicians, walk-in clinics, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants who sent us patients that month. I may have not told you already, but we get on average of 100 to 120 new providers per year. That's why I say it was a year ago we had 600, so maybe it's 700 now. But I'm going to give you the last 6 months of 2021, the number of providers, new providers that were sent in through our marketing efforts. Both they're all our marketing efforts, but this paper system is the heart of it. And then Naomi is going to cover with us other aspects that she does personally, number one, throughout Middle Tennessee to enhance this program. And also she will cover for us the network marketing program that we make available to doctors who don't know how to market, don't have any idea, don't want to market. Marketing is a dirty word. I don't have my staff, they can't do it. I want to do the process. I want to see the patients. I want to help the patients. I want to enhance my practice by hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but I can't do the marketing. So Nagami's going to talk about that, and we'll talk about it together, but she's the expert there. So we'll let her talk. But let me finish this up. So here's 6 months. January, we had 10 new providers on top of our old providers. February, 5 new referral sources. March was 10 new providers. April was 12 new referral sources. May was 9 new provider referral sources. June was 13. Those are the facts. That's what we see. And those are doctors, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, PCPs, walk-in clinics, chiropractors, other dentists, other oral maxillofacial surgeons. I get my colleagues now. It's like, I don't want anything to do with TMD, Tony. It's like, go for it. Amazingly successful marketing program. So this is what we do. So Naomi, let's start with what you do to enhance our paper program here, which is letters out, stamps, envelopes, and collecting doctors' names. So I know that you do a lot and you're very busy. So why don't you describe for the listeners your part to play in this as far as our local practice goes, how we have developed this kind of practice.
Okay, well, I'll start kind of talking about exactly what I do for you for your practice, gaining referrals, and then we'll go into our network provider marketing program. So for you, Dr. Urbanek, on a daily basis, I will send out 25, sometimes more, letters to potential referral sources. Now, they could be people who have referred previously, but not for a long time. They could be new doctors to the area. And I literally cover within a 100-mile radius in different areas, trying to make certain that we are getting the word out. So I'll send letters requesting that they call and schedule a lunch and learn. I send out brochures with our business cards that tell all about it, how to do the exam. They tell all the symptoms. Then I also send out referral forms, and that's number one. That's what we're trying to do, is get word out and have them a way to fill out that referral form, send patients our way. So I send those out daily. On average, I send out about 150 of those in 4 days, 4-day work week. And then I also schedule lunch and learns. Typically, I have several lunch and learns scheduled each week. And that's when I go and I do a PowerPoint presentation. It takes 15 to 20 minutes, not a whole lot of the doctor's time. I just basically explain in a nutshell what you do, what the device is designed to do, and the effectiveness. A lot of times people, they just are almost afraid to treat it, or they just don't know. And so part of my role for marketing is literally just to educate, answer questions. And if I don't know the answer, I come back to the office and I ask you, and then send emails. So that's another component, is lunch and learns. I am also doing site visits. So I literally drive on average 18 to 25 sites each week. I go, I knock on doors, go in, introduce myself. I pass out the same information, letters, brochures, business cards with referral forms, and just make us present in the area. Let doctors, nurse practitioners, dentists know what we do, the success of it, that it's a long-term effective solution, and that we are accepting patients, and ask for their referrals. So it's one of those things that's a lot of times is very easy to do. It is time consuming. It's very easy to do. It's not overly complicated, but it's something that a lot of times practices, our network providers, just don't have time or the staff to go out and actually do all of that stuff on a weekly basis. So that's something that I do for you. As far as the network provider program, we've tried various things since I've been with you, and we are now going to be actually taking the marketing out of the network provider staff hands and actually doing that marketing for our network providers in-house. There is a fee for that monthly. It covers extensive. It does the letters. It does lunch and learns. They're virtual. It also covers getting mailing list of practices within their specific area. It also covers even success stories, sending out letters just like you do, or just like Amy does for your practice. Doctors who refer will get a letter after that consult, after 3-week visit, 6-week, 2-month, 4-month, etc. So it literally encompasses everything that is proven to be successful for your practice and provides that for network providers. It just takes that weight off of their shoulder, because so many times staff either won't do it or don't have time to do it. And a lot of times doctors may not want to hire even more staff. Maybe they don't have the room for more staff. And so it really is a very extensive program that takes what we know here at this practice to be effective to have success rate, and it makes it available to all network providers.
It's tremendous, Naomi. And I think you explained that very well and very succinctly. I nothing for me to chime in. I mean, I can't add anything other than why we didn't want to intend to like do the marketing for the doctors. I mean, but it really, as we rolled out the process, the clinical part of this is given. I mean, the effectiveness, how it works, how you use it, that's in the course. The clinical part and the doctors who take the course, it's all obvious to them. They go, yeah, yeah, that's pretty obvious, pretty cool. What I didn't know was how difficult it was going to be, how almost impossible it was going to be to educate doctors to actually make others, whether it be their patients or other doctors, aware that they have a solution, that they're willing to fix the patients and that they have a solution. I'm not sure whether I told you this little soliloquy, this little history that I have, but in my earlier career, I did 400, by count, 400 lunches with doctors. Not necessarily lunch and learns. I did a bunch of those. I did 41 of lunch and learns just for TMD. I used to do a smoking, anti-smoking lunch and learn. I did a whole bunch of those. But I had lunch with over 400 doctors, and invariably, I intentionally always ask them, how do you like being a dentist? And now I say doctors, I mean dentists, because I'm an oral surgeon and I was, striking up business and keeping my practice going, and y'all know how that works. And the doctor, 9 times out of 10, no exaggeration, something above 90% of the time would look at me and go, well, I like being a dentist. I really like working with my hands, and I like seeing the product that we do. I think I do pretty good dentistry. Patients, most of them are pretty good. There are a few ones that we'd rather not have, but I like most of my patients. I enjoy my patients. I enjoy being a doctor or dentist, and I'm really good doing dentistry. But my staff drive me nuts 90% of the time. I filed it away. That's another thing. If you ever, if you find yourself in a position, I can give you the key. I don't have time. I'll give you the key how to fix that. It's easy. It's not complicated, but I don't have time for it now. But that's fixable. It's one of those things that if you don't have the right answer, if you can't solve a problem, you're asking the wrong person or you're asking the wrong question. But the point is, that's what I heard 90% of the time after talking to 400 dentists. So now I'm a believer, because when we then ask the doctor to perform those marketing steps that Naomi and I just outlined, they can't do it for various reasons. Some of them they just can't fathom, doing any marketing. They can't do it themselves. So then I go, okay, here's the marketing program. We had it all written out. We had it all written out on paper. We sent them documents outlining it. We sent them on the internet outlining it, and still the doctor couldn't get it done. So then we decided, okay, well, the doctor doesn't have control over his own staff. We will then direct it directly to the staff. We take the doctor out of it. All he has to do is see the patients, and it's a zoo. You can't get the doctor could not get his staff to follow the simple marketing steps, which are super simple. What are the steps? When a potential patient hits the front door, besides registering in, part of the registration process is you ask them, please list out the doctors you have seen for this problem, for these symptoms, and any other doctors that you see routinely. Step 1. Step 2, do your diagnosis. If they have the problem, then you treat them, and then you start sending out letters. That's it. That's all. we could not get, no matter how hard we tried, working with the doctors, working with the staff, working with the office managers, working with anybody that would talk to us, as to get them to do the marketing program. So now we have developed, by default, a simple system where, and Naomi can't do it all, but we'll have the staff to do it, to actually take on that responsibility for a relatively modest fee. We don't want to charge a lot. We just charge what it basically costs us to do this for the doctors who want to join our network of providers and actually solve this TMD problem. So Naomi outlined that briefly. It is not much more to it. There, I'm sure that she has a lot more to say about it. And I wanted to get that in, is why we found ourselves doing this, because, one thing led to another. I mean, there was a point when I started rolling this out, I thought, well, let's see how it works having another clinic. So I literally flew myself and my staff every 2 weeks to Memphis from Nashville, and we opened up a little clinic, and it started growing rapidly. It isn't that you can't grow it rapidly. I mean, I grew it out of nothing from a little clinic that we worked, one day every 2, sometimes every 3 weeks, and had plenty of patients, but I couldn't run 2 clinics by myself. And I love to fly, but it was just too much. I couldn't do it. So we started, a network provider system, and now we have a network provider system that we actually do the marketing for you. And it will be successful. If the marketing is done, you will be successful. So that's what I have to say about it. Naomi, did you want to add anything else to the program before we end off?
No, I think we pretty much summed it up.
Yeah, I think we have too. And I think we've kind of maybe carried on a little too much. These programs get a little longer than I intend them to be. And I apologize if I get a little wordy sometimes. I truly do. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. I hope you take it to heart. If you have any questions, please send your questions to Naomi at tmjservices.net. If you want to see more details about us, our program, success stories, about the network provider program, company profile is at www.tmjservices.net. Questions, comments, send to Naomi. I'd be happy to respond to any question or comment that you care to give us. Until next time, I am Tony Urbanek, and this is Naomi, and we are here talking about the TMD Demystified. Thank you very much, and have a great week. I look forward to speaking with you again. Bye-bye.